Imagine Usain Bolt running in one-way traffic against traffic with a guy that's chasing him with a revolver. And I'm like, holy shit, dude, am I about to witness someone get his brain splattered all over the concrete right in front of me? It was the 2016 Rio Olympic Games, and I was there to coach one of my athletes in the sport of BMX racing. I had the luxury of not staying at the Olympic Village, and I actually had a hotel room right there overlooking the Copacabana. And I needed to get to the track for practice on day one. So what I did was I went out to the main street to hail an Uber. And as I was out in the street, I had a backpack on, I'm looking at my phone, and I remember being forewarned that you don't want to show too many valuables such as jewelry, watches, phones, and even, you need to be really secure with your bag. So it was interesting. I'm sitting there looking for the Uber, waiting for the Uber, and what had happened was two people came up, an older man and a younger girl. Each of them had a bag over their shoulder. And the older man came up to me and he was speaking Portuguese. And of course, I don't know Portuguese, but I understand body language. And his body language was very confrontational. And I'm trying to interpret what's going on. I'm holding on to my bag. I'm thinking, okay, what's going on here? He's acting very confrontational and he's raising his voice. His body language says, hey, I'm a pit bull and I want to bite you. And basically, from what I can recall, he was looking for a fight. So what he did was he put his bag down and the other girl put her bag down and he was getting into my face. And I'm like, oh, whoa, okay, what's going on? I'm like, hey man, like you need to back off. And I still had my bag, I still had my phone. I put my phone in the bag, made sure all my zippers were secured shut. And I'm like, okay, something's happening here. I don't know what's about to happen, but something's happening. And so I tried my best to stay resourceful. What I didn't do was I didn't match and mirror his energy. I did not drop my bag. And he tried his best to get me to drop the bag. I figured it out quickly. I was like, okay, he's trying to get me to drop my bag because what's going to happen is if we start arguing and pushing each other, I drop my bag, the girl's going to grab my bag and she's going to run off with it. So it was interesting. What had happened was this guy came out of nowhere. It was almost like Batman and Robin. And he was my savior. Some guy on the street wearing plain clothes, blue jeans and a white t-shirt comes up and he intervenes and he starts speaking Portuguese and they start conversing at a low level, and they were mirroring their tone and body language. And I'm like, okay, well, this guy's helping me out. I can tell he's helping me out because that's all I got. I got body language. And so I'm watching these guys going back and forth and they're arguing, their tone's starting to get raised up. The older gentleman that was trying to start beef with me grabs his bag. He walks about, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 feet away. And the other gentleman who was, my saving grace, he's still arguing with this guy and they're arguing back and forth. I'm like, oh shit, this is not done. They're still arguing. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, right? They keep raising their voice. And all of a sudden, we're at high decibels. We're screaming and shouting at each other. And I'm sitting there waiting for the Uber, and I'm watching this at the same time. And I'm thinking, man, I need to coach my rider because we're at the Olympics. Again, we're at the Olympic Games. This gentleman, this Batman, if you will, reaches in his back pocket and pulls out a chrome revolver and points it at the dude. And he's arguing with him, and he's saying blah 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 blah. I don't know what he said, but basically he said, I'm gonna shoot you, right? If you don't get the fuck out of here. And so I'm like, holy fuck, this dude just pulled out a fucking revolver. And the guy hasn't stopped shutting up. He starts to back off a little bit. He starts stepping back, but he's still front facing the guy, and he wouldn't shut up. So I tell the guy that's got the gun out, he puts it away. I tell him, hey, obrigado. I knew that much. Obrigado is thank you. Thank you for helping me out, because I can tell. I shook his hand. The guy is still down, maybe 80 feet away at this point, still hasn't shut up, still going at it, Then all of a sudden, the guy decides to pull out his gun again and starts running after him as if he's going to shoot him. And all of a sudden, this dude, he starts running after him, full speed, right? We're at the Olympic Games. I need to be in a resourceful state so I can take care of my athlete. My heart rate's up, things are happening quickly, and just like that, we're near a storefront, and these two owners of the storefront, they were outside, and they just started laughing their ass off. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess this is real life. Now, in hindsight, I realized these guys were, this gentleman, I would call him the favela fella. He was living in the projects, if you will, in Brazil, which are these favelas. It's a lower income. It's a real high densely populated area where there's a lot of poverty and there's a lot of drug dealing. And of course, Rio de Janeiro is a place where tourists are set up in these roos. Typically, they're looking for jewelry, they're looking for bags, they're looking for camera lenses. And so I was potentially gonna get took for my bag, which had all my coaching gear, had my wallet, had my passport. It had a lot of things. And so, yeah, that was my story, day one at the Rio de Janeiro 2016 Olympics in Brazil.